Welcome back to The Devil in Detail, the Grendel Reread podcast. I'm Eli.
I'm Ben. Vivat Grendel. It's our
Vivat
18th
Grendel.
episode. Can you believe it?
It's crazy. We're moving up.
Yeah.
We're almost at 20. We're almost, I don't even know. I mean, like you said last week, we're halfway through our Hunter Rose coverage.
Yeah.
And we're back in the Red, White, and Blue, Red, White, and Black anthology series. And this week we have some breezy, fun, interesting stories to cover.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get into them, let me ask you, what did you do this week?
What did I do this week? Well, not only could I not go outside due to the pandemic, I also could not go outside due to the smoke in the air from the West Coast fires. The weather apps all just said, with the weather today, smoke, which is scary, man. I mean, yesterday, it wasn't as bad as the San Francisco, like the Blade Runner photos and videos that you've seen, but it was like super hazy. There's no sky today or yesterday. It's just like dirty cream. It's just like real disgusting. Yesterday smelled like you were like at a campfire. It was scary, man. And the county people were like, don't go outside unless you have to. I haven't been able to do my hike, my normal weekly hike, and to get out with my hike and read. But
what about creative? Do you anything besides the apocalyptic anxiety? Anything creative? You make anything cool?
Well, I'm starting work in earnest on Wizard 2. Starting to get stuff. Literally 1 minute before we started our cast, I received a 10-page story from Bernie Moreau for That's Wizard awesome. 2. And he's like, I don't care about money. I just think that you have something cool going on and I want to get in on the ground floor. He sent this 10-pager. It's awesome. And he seems psyched, which gets me psyched. And, he's been helping me with, like, Monkey Lion ideas and stuff, too. And he's like, I know you said you were going to get into that first, my next Monkey Lion issue. But I'm kind of like, maybe I should just dive into Wizard 2. Because I've got a lot of people sending stuff. I've got stories and stuff. So maybe I should just dive deep into getting that together. But then again, there's a lot of times where I have this guilt, like we've talked about it, me and Rick Lopez, shout out him, and we've talked about it, but it's like creator's guilt when you're not doing a page, you're like, damn, like I know Ben's doing a page right now, I know Rick's doing a page right now, it's like shit, I should be working on Monkey Line again, but who knows?
Well, there's worse people that want to help you out than Bernie Moreau, so
yes,
you could be doing worse for potential collaborators.
What about you, man? What you been up to? Been creative?
Yeah, I wrapped up the first pass of the lettered layout of the first issue of the new project, and I think I'm gonna have a meeting sometime next few days with the writers to make sure that the monkeying around that I did with their story to kind of make it a little bit, to make it as clear as possible, is to their liking. My ideal is that, you should be able to not only, me, I don't like to read any kind of words, but you should be able to get what happens in the story, but also like some of the meaning of the story out of the pictures alone.
For sure.
That to me is a really important concern when I'm making comics. And so it means sometimes that there are visual beats that are really important to me that I need to add, and then you can sort of script around what's there. So I did that. Did some getting files together for Oh Fuck Why as they're coming in from the letterer.
Yeah, very nice.
And I watched a lot of TV. I watched some Raised by Wolves.
Oh yeah, we were talking earlier. Damn, I want to see that, man.
Totally Mobius. It's pretty cool.
Tobias.
Yeah, I watched the first Lone Wolf and Cub movie from 1972. There's like 5 of them on HBO Max.
Nice.
Along with a bunch of Kurosawa and Orson Welles stuff. So I'm gonna do some like cinema deep dive on stuff that I don't know much about. And I watched some Cobra Kai, and that was it.
Cobra Kai is so great. I finished it.
Good.
And I went and watched Karate Kids 1 through 4 as well. Mm-hmm. If you're wondering about how I rank them, they rank in the order that they came out. 1 is the best, 2 is really good, 3 kind of sucks, and 4, the next Karate Kid. Oh boy, Ben, it is bad.
Is 4 Hilary Swank or is
Hilary
4
Swank
Ralph
is 4?
Macchio?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, he only did 3. Okay.
He only did 3.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm really enjoying Cobra Kai. It's kind of up there with Blade Runner for me as like uh, delayed sequels that turned out really good. I love that the format is different, the tone is different,
For sure.
and you
I
kind of
think it's
catch up
one
with all
of
the
the,
characters.
if not the best return after 30 years. Like Clerks 2
Yeah.
is great. I loved it. I love the new Bill and Ted's, but with the TV format, it's just better. They're able to spread out and do more and cover more. And then when you go back and watch the Karate Kids again, you see all these little things that they picked out, all these perfect little things. And I read the trivia. That car, it's like the same car that was actually used in the first two movies, the one that Mr. Miyagi gave to Daniel-san.
Yeah, I was sort of thinking a lot about the locations. Like it seems like the like apartment complex where William Zabka and the main kid live in are the ones that Daniel Russo moves into in the first movie. But I have to go back and.
I think they said it was very similar because they go
Same
back
idea.
to that. Like they go together to visit, and they're like, "This pool never had any water." But then also, I read that Mr. Miyagi's house was actually bulldozed.
Oh no!
So the one that they use is different for Miyagi, though. But
we could go on forever, but we've got Grendelin to do, Eli.
Let's get on Grendelin.
Hit me.
Ready to go. Be fast, then be slow. Yeah. Vivat Grendel.
It's like the devil is my best friend. On the roads with the pen to the fork end, or till time end. Like Orion, Jupiter, my kin, bloodline private. We control the whole shit. The wolf won't beef, then we feast off the rip. Behold the devil in detail. Behold the devil in detail.
All right, welcome back. And thank you to Manus and Zach for the great theme song that we love kicking into every time.
Yeah, man.
And
we got three short red, white, black, white, and red stories.
Red,
white, and black. I get confused. Three short anthology tales.
Yeah, super fun. All three very different this week. Different writing styles, art styles, progression styles. Three completely different. What's the word I used? Just narrative outlooks, just like completely different stories this week, all interesting in their own right.
It's funny because this first one, Chase the Devil by Mike Hawthorne, fits very well with the last two, the Andy Kuhn and the Cliff Chang one.
Right. Almost could take place like kind of like right after the other, like because it kind of comes in with Grendel's right in the middle of something, throwing bitches out of windows.
Yeah, this Chase the Devil story. It's about a maybe not a rookie cop, but a
definitely a
younger
green
cop. Yeah.
A little bit about Mike Hawthorne before we dive in here. I did some research because as we were talking before, these are all three kind of new cartoonists to us, ones that we're not super versed in. It seemed like he had a big run on Queen and Country, written by Greg Rucka. He also did some Conan work, Deadpool, and it seemed like he's been doing work. He's been getting work done.
Yeah, my guess with these guys is that they are likely, if I had to make a guess, they would be Portland guys.
Oh, right.
Based on how much Dark Horse work they're doing and collaborating with Matt and Greg Rucka and that kind of thing. So
I would agree with that as well.
Might make sense to see.
I wonder, did Matt hand pick all these artists? Did Dark Horse throw him like names and he chose? Did Diana help? Like, I wonder exactly how all these connections were made. Maybe
my
we'll
guess
have to
is
reach
that
out.
he pretty much had carte blanche, to do his
agree.
deal.
Yeah.
To handpick these folks.
Yeah.
Hawthorne's got this. He's got a really cool style.
He really does.
It's like geometric and slick, and it looks cool.
Yeah, it's similar to Andy Kuhn, looking at him right here in the omnibus, like back and forth. But he's got that perfect like realness and cartooniness that I really enjoy. It's not like too real to where you're like, is this fun or not? But it's like cartoony enough to be like, this is fun.
Yeah, the motion is kind of just stretched and squashed in just the right way, and he does Grendel in kind of this like karate gi kind of thing, and so the flares and bulges and flourishes really, and the face mask ties really fly with the motion. So
Oh yeah.
it looks cool. I dig it.
Yeah, and it opens up like you said. They're kind of on patrol, and the seasoned cop is like, "You can't let the beat your ass." That's my saying, you know. And
That's
he's
the
kind
theme.
of like,
That's the lesson.
it is, yeah,
Unless it does. Sometimes you eat the bar. You know, they're
exactly.
they're supposed to be in the Lower East Side.
Mhm.
Looks pretty Lower East Sidey to me. Maybe this is the underpass of the Manhattan Bridge or some such. You know, I live here in New York City, but I still don't know I'll never really know the lay of the land. That's just not my. That's just not my shtick. So
Uh-huh.
sure, Manhattan Bridge. Why not?
Yeah, it's a better guess than I had.
Yeah.
But they're just going about their business when all of a sudden a body is hurled from a window and comes down and slams right in front of the cop car.
Yeah.
And
What'd you think about Hawthorne's use of black right off the bat from this first page?
I mean, it's stark. It's well done. I mean, it's not cross hatching. It's just solid black. It's yeah, I like it. And you mean like on the building here where it's like all dark and the red is just like the
Yeah, I mean mostly on this body that like hits the roof of the hood of their car
right.
face first, and then like the feet are kind of breaking the panel. It's got great motion and
yeah, it's all
just
red
stuff like that.
Yeah. I think it helps with, like you said, the movement and the feel of it all, kind of like real smooth.
Breaking things up. When you turn the page, you'll see more of that. It's just like, oh, how can I fit this solid red compositionally into this? And you know, Grendel follows Wonk. You know, the lettering here is kind of cool. There's a few different things that are being done with the speech, and then there's a lot of sound effects that are 20 years ago, like Blambot or Comic Craft or whatever. They're very
like Tosh.
Like, hey, we got digital, whatever whatever you want.
All right, so Sarge is like, "Don't get out of the car, Rook," and he's like, "What the fuck?" And then we turn the next page and enter Grendel. Amazing, right here of Grendel.
Yeah.
There's no. Would you say holding lines? Like it's all just black. There's no like chin. There's no anything.
Oh yeah. Well, I might say
outfit.
kind of shadows kind of bleed and blend together.
Yeah, and the eyes are much different than usual too. They're just like Spawn eyes with like gashes down.
Yeah, it's a very ninja evocative kind of thing. They almost look like shuriken.
Yeah, and he's like you said, he's ninja. He's almost got this like Samurai Jack like form.
Yeah.
Boxy shoulders, big feet. Love it, man.
Look at the motion on the fork in that first panel, just the way it kind of.
Oh, it's kind of bowing.
It takes the bow, yeah.
Whoa. And
really
like,
cool.
Man, and so he sees the body, and he's not speaking in poetry, but he's still speaking
it's in fencing terms. It's his game to play, right?
Yeah,
it's like
point and match.
He just anyone that gets in his way. It's like he's in a video game. More cannon fodder for me to see if I can get away with this murder and that murder.
Well, and a lot of times these comic stories, especially like a Batman or something, you introduce these characters. We got introduced to the Sarge and the Rook first, and so we feel for them. They've built up their lives, and Grendel is cold, calculating.
Yeah.
He doesn't care, and the Sarge is like, freeze right there, and Grendel's like, forget about it, right through the neck.
Yeah.
Just
this is pretty clearly, things are in sequence. So he is still assassin Grendel, unknown to the cops. The Liz Sparks SGU is still kind of.
They mention
percolating.
It, right. They mention
in this they mention it?
Think so, yeah.
Huh. I might have missed that. All right, cool. Well,
nah, maybe it's the next one.
All right. Well, anyway, Grendel just takes
Grendel forks him.
Forks this guy. He does this awesome frontward flip. Look at the beautiful low camera low angle shot.
Yeah, really cool.
On panel 2. Really, really nice with the buildings and the moon and the pose and all that looks really good.
Oh, and as he's running away here, panel 3, really got that ninja, that Samurai Jack kind of flow. He's got like the flare pants and the big sleeves, and
Yeah, it's funny. We've talked a lot about the potential gizmos in the fork, and this would if that's really a thing, not that it isn't really a thing, but if it was, this is where he would Batman his way
right. He
out of
does
it
use the
instead
fork.
of just running off.
Yeah, well,
Right,
exactly.
use it as
He
a
uses
pole
it as a
vault.
pole vault later. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I was wondering though here, like as it shows that I was saying, it kind of looks like he's wearing like samurai jackiness.
Sure.
Is that to show movement, or you think that's representative of his actual full costume? I guess it's the costume, judging.
Well,
from
that's an interesting question. There are parts where Hawthorne will give motion lines, attribute them to the forms. So, like if you look at his elbow on the right here as he runs away, or in panel 2 on the bandana ties, they have a little bit of
They have
blur
extra,
coming off them. I just think it's a cool. This is how he sees it, trying to make it nice and cool. The cop uniforms contrast really nicely while still doing some of these kinds of things. But it makes Grendel look super sleek, inky, and into the night,
Yeah, it's great too because the costume is, it's bare bones. It's not, there's no great symbol on the chest. There's no colors and shit. So it's like there's less to work with, and yet all these artists somehow really make it their own, which is beautiful.
Yeah, I was thinking a lot over the week about how theatrical it is, especially after the scene where he's with Jim Gordon and he's just like, holding court, putting on a show, freaking everyone out, murdering 15 guys. And it's still like, all eyes on me, baby. So, there is kind of this.
A callback to the drama of the masks in Joe Costa's early story. Because remember, they were hanging over her bed. Maybe like Joe Costa had this interest as well in like stage and drama and comedy, and that was like in her sanctum. Or where did they go for that sex?
They're in her.
She's from London, right? So he went
London.
there. Yeah. So he went back to her pad. So perhaps she had these themes in her home.
I thought they were fencing masks that he had sort of experimented with painting
and using the comedy and tragedy masks as a.
Oh, right. Or maybe there were. Yeah. It's also funny because another one of the like, what if Eddie short stories that came to my mind was like him trying to direct a high school production, a theater production, and being such a control freak and not like not working out because he's trying to dominate it, but he can't regulate the leadership needs of a bunch of 14-year-olds or whatever it is.
Interesting, man. This is what we need. We really need to just pitch all these ideas to Matt.
Pitch all these and say, sorry guys, these are fucking terrible.
Yeah, you guys suck. Out of here.
But with Hawthorne here, I think one of the things that's happening a lot of is that there's really tasteful panel breaking going on, like almost on like multiple times on every page. Remember when we looked at the Pander Brothers one, the Voodoo one?
Yeah.
And it was like really kinetic and frenetic and chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like kind of, not that the flow was bad, but it was like you had to kind of work with what was being broken. This is similar to that, but it's much more designy. And so it's a lot easier to kind of parse out sequence and stuff like that.
And the story itself is much more real and based in like just this factual account of, really like 5 minutes, 10 minutes maybe. So he's bound a little bit more without the magic
it's all
and stuff.
Moment to moment. And it's over in just a few moments.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
and so he's blasting after him. He's shooting him. And Grendel's just like flying away. And
look at this. He's firing the gun. Those hands are breaking the panel. And then the Grendel running away from panel 3 is standing in the blast of the gun. So it's just like a lot of really thoughtful composition stuff going on.
Yeah, I love it.
And it's the 80s, so it's totally appropriate that a Volkswagen Beetle is chilling there. It's not like, I want to draw that car. It's like, this car would totally be there.
Yeah. It's 1986, right? That's what Teddy Boy confirmed for us last night.
Teddy Boy said, yeah.
And I love this, man. The next page, he's all like huff. He's like coughing. He's like, oh fuck, like so. And here he says, okay, Kowalski, think. Now, I know that I've heard that name Kowalski, so I obviously went on a deep dive because I feel like it's always kind of used to represent kind of like a dumb cop or something, like, all right, Kowalski. And I tried to firm it down, but there's like so many Kowalskis in, like, it's one of the most common names in its like language. I can't remember what it was, Dutch or something like that.
I thought it was Polish.
Polish, you might be right.
I'm not sure. Yeah, it's like a very working class kind of
name,
so. I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. So I tried to find it, but obviously, like it's the penguins from Madagascar is one of them, and so that took over most of the searches. But it's been used a lot of times in TV, and I don't know. I wanted to find out because I've heard it used like someone would be like, okay, Kowalski, like saying that to someone as like a dig. But I'm like, it must be from a show.
Yeah,
from the
it
70s
might
or
be.
80s.
You could use it as like a working class hump dig.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah. And maybe that's used here to kind of show that this guy is, again, working class on his way up. Anyway, he's like, think, motherfuckers on foot, call it in. But this also, too, another great use of the black and white, like you're saying, just the teeth grinding through the shadows. Mm-hmm. Really cool.
Yeah, and then the movement on the car on the 2-panel sequence is really cool. The way you're contrasting shape and motion and black and white, really,
and going
really
from
cool.
the back to the front, like you see it, like it goes off the panel here, and then in the next panel it's coming this way to show you the movement, kind of. And then the next page again, we get a super samurai jackiness as he's radioing it in, and here's where I thought, so suspect matches description of individual under investigation by special operations unit.
There you
Law
go.
and Order Special Grendel Unit. I'm so glad I made that graphic. I'm gonna keep using it.
Man. Wow, I did not pick that one up. I should.
Yeah, so it really does follow up. Maybe no, I guess because these were dispersed throughout the different issues. I was thinking maybe for Red, White, and Black they thought more about, but I think that each issue went in time, but then over the 4 issues, so the first issue from each 4 stories is like the beginning. The second issue is kind of in the second story for each issue. I don't know.
We'll have to ask Matt some serious questions about that. I think that it might be a combination of 3 or 4 years passed between the writing of the 2 anthologies and wanting to maintain 2 separate identities between the 2, just for clarity's sake in the anthology.
True.
I there's clearly room for another anthology, as we pitch an endless stream of fakakta ideas.
You mean white, red, and black?
Yeah,
white, black, and red?
There's like obviously room for more, as there is for all the, you could do it with Orion Asante,
Oh my God.
Or
hey, Dark Horse, call us, please.
Yeah, right.
As soon as you can start printing comics again.
Yeah.
I mean, this next sequence is so sweet. The next 2 pages, man. So he's running down. They call for backup, and he's like, no, I'm going. He's like, they keep telling him like, chill out, don't follow this guy. And he's like, keeping going. Grendel's going all around, and then here's where we see him using again another use for his fork, which for sure elongated and allowed him to pole vault like around this corner. And
it's pretty long, this whole story.
Oh, well, that's true, yeah. But then
it elongated from tail to tail, yeah.
Dude, the action here, he pole vaults into this biker while the bike seemingly never stops moving, and he jumps on top and kind of like skids to one side, jumps over and hops on that motorcycle and like disappears.
Yeah, we've talked about his like extreme accuracy 3 times. The way he'll like throw the fork and it will hit you just, in a very theatrical way. And this is more of the same, that like split-second decision making.
Oh man, great.
The bit that I like a lot is panel 2, where
On 277 still. Sorry, I'm
yeah,
moving
the
fast. Okay.
lettering of oh shit, how it's kind of the tail kind of comes out the window, the balloon's at an angle, and then
It's
the
great.
animation where the first one is white, the second one has screen tone on it, and then the third one is black. It really has a very nice rhythm of like timing and animated motion going on there. Really smart.
Yeah, really cool way to do that motion. Like last week, I think you called it a Ditko-esque thing. Yeah, greatness. He gets the biker, and again, like the radio is like, dude, chill out, wait for backup before approaching the suspect. Moving on to 278, Grendel zooms the other way. You can see like through his window, and then the guy.
No, that's a reflection. He's chasing him. That's a reflection.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see.
So that's what he sees of Grendel behind him.
And this is just this high speed chase is just continuing until Grendel manages to like duck in an alleyway, and he says, "God damn it, lost him!" And oh my God, here's where the insanity. Oh my God.
Yeah, this motorcycle stuff is very Akira.
Yeah, I mean, we never see Grendel on a bike, or we never see him almost on anything but foot. There's no Grendel copter.
We will later on.
Mobile.
Yeah, right. There's no, but like the Paladin is always on a motorcycle. Susan Varrigan is on a motorcycle.
Ah,
yeah. So
dude.
Oh man, next year, sometime in the next 2 years, we'll get there. Yeah. Susan Varrigan deserves her own anthology. Like,
so good.
There's so much Varrigan clan stuff that gets alluded to about who they are and like how they rise to this position and how they build a tattoo culture and all that stuff. And it's just like, Greg Rucka talks about it a little bit, and
did you read Past Prime too?
I read about half of it.
Yeah, that's all words. That's gotta be tough for you.
Yeah, for me. No, I like it. I can read.
I can read, guys.
It's like 180 pages. I think I read.
Yeah,
about
it's not
600.
it's not a hard one at all.
Yeah, it's an easy read. And also, I like Greg Rucka a lot from what I've read.
Oh, maybe that's how they got the connection here, because Greg Rucka wrote Queen and Country, which Mike Hawthorne drew. Maybe that's how they came together.
I think I was reading. Oh, that's right. I think I was reading. Also, they're Portland guys, I believe. That when God, I don't want to say my only tidbit on Past Prime. I think that
it's a ways away. We could say it again. Then.
Matt, I read in something that Matt was like, "Yeah, you can do whatever you want," and I think he assumed that he would do a Hunter Rose story. He goes, "No, I want to tell this one." Awesome.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so man, we're back in here. He loses him, and he's like, "Where the fuck?" He's like a goddamn rat. Okay, so then what happened is Grendel is now on this like tunnel above. He's on like a bridge.
Yeah.
Jumps off the bridge, and in the last frame of this panel, he's like, "Don't let it." And then, if you don't mind, I'm gonna take us home here. Jumps off the bike. The bike is flying down, smashes into the cop car, kind of blows him away, and he's like, "Holy shit!" And he's like, but I'm all right. Until Grendel forks him right through the goddamn sternum, kills him, and that's when his life flashes before his eyes. Mary Beth, oh mama, oh geez. One time, 1 2. Come on, you read. What's your current location? My current location is hell. I am dead. Forsooth, the Grendel has slain me.
This is the really theatrical Hunter getting in there. We're on Canal and Broadway. Yeah, so it's you might want to send backup officer down. So that was interesting that like Grendel gets on the horn. Yeah. The camera doesn't move in that last sequence. Except for the hand coming in and then the cord getting stretched out. I'm not sure I noticed that. Maybe I thought it was his hand, but it's definitely not. It's definitely Grendel's because of the seam on his glove. Well, one thing that's happening in that sequence is that there's no gutters between those last three. Oh, right. And that's always kind of a tricky proposition, especially when you're using all this panel breaking stuff and all this black gutter shadow work, because things can kind of get lost in there. But I think it works quite well. One thing that I noticed is that we talked about the digital lettering, and every time one of these guys has kind of an under their breath, oh shit, it's in a mixed case font.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate. Not everyone does, but I do. But the lettering here is quite good for 1998. Wonderful variety.
Yeah.
5-minute quickie.
Just super action packed.
Yeah, and I think the key point here that you pointed out is the reference to the special investigative unit.
Right.
That this is like the first time that the cops someone has encountered and called it in, or lived long enough to call it in, I should say.
Yeah. Well, you might even guess that the voice on the other side of this radio is Sparks, who's like, "Oh shit, okay, they just called me. I'm the head of the special Grendel unit, so I'm on my way. This is Agent Sparks. Come in."
South Central. I think it's a standard dispatcher, but that Sparks has.
They're sending Sparks.
She's getting it. She's getting stuff.
She'll show up at this scene.
Yeah,
for sure.
she'll do the Sherlock one.
She'll use her pen to like pick up some sort of bloodied. Yeah.
Cool.
Really fun.
Story.
Yeah, man. And seeing Grendel do some stuff we haven't seen him do, using a motorcycle. He doesn't always kill cops, I guess he does. All the time he kills cops.
He didn't have to kill these cops.
He didn't have to, but...
I mean, he does because he was seen, I suppose.
Yeah.
And also because he likes to fuck with people.
Yeah.
And
they had the audacity to chase him. This guy had the audacity to chase him.
Yeah.
The one guy shot at him, but also they witnessed the murder, which, I mean, it's not like he's trying to hide that he's a murderer, I don't think, but...
Yeah. He's just trying to have a good time. Yeah. Sarge told Kowalski that, you have to, when you're in this neighborhood where this is New York in the 80s, and it was not good, and you have to be tough, and you gotta stand your ground, and that's all he was trying to do,
Yeah, that's all he can do,
I guess. All right, cool.
He killed him.
Let's talk about Tom Fowler, Devil's Dash.
All right, and just to be clear, we are not talking about Tom Fowler, the Zappa bass player, brother of Bruce and Walt Fowler.
Yeah, that's important.
Cartoonist. Awesome musical family there. Who Tom Fowler also played with. What's his name? God damn, what? He was a violinist with Zappa. Jean-Luc Ponty, that's it. I knew it immediately. There's definitely no Googling needed to be done. All right, cool. So he's not that. What Wikipedia said or Google said he's the most sensual cartoonist? And
that's what Wikipedia said.
You saw it too? Like, what does that mean?
I don't know. It's very lush. Well, this work, there's a lot of sensuality.
Yeah, I guess. If
the piece that, it seems like this guy's, Tom Fowler's, been around for a while, done a lot of cool work.
Yeah, Mad.
Oni
double feature.
A piece that I knew the most was his collaboration with Fred Van Lente on How Tunes, which is like a kid's do-it-yourself science and like crafting project kind of book where the kids go on an adventure and then it shows you, the reader, how to make the tools that they've been building, whether it's like periscopes or go-karts or all different kinds of stuff. Yeah, awesome. It's a really cool book for kids that, need to use their hands and also have inspiration for projects. So Nick Dragotta of East of West fame also worked on that book.
Oh, sweet.
So anyway, the format on this one is...
Well, one last thing. I just found that he's like writing Rick and Morty right now, the comic, writing Rick and Morty, and did some Squirrel Girl work. So he's still creating vital work, and he's probably doing better now than he was at this point, which he just keeps getting better work and doing more stuff. It's great.
Good on you. Good on you. The format of this is that the first page and last page are splashes with a little bit of like kind of Walt Kelly style lettering.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the other pages are 2 panels with like lettering underneath. And it tells the tale of the downfall of U.S. Representative Sloan Etheridge.
Yes. A large Chris Farley looking guy.
Yeah.
Who another very interesting use of the red in this one to show sometimes as shading, and then sometimes to show like like as your face would get red as you're getting exactly.
Yeah.
The more
it's an interesting. It looks like sometimes it's red dots on a white field, and sometimes it's the negative.
Oh right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So sometimes
really well
it's
done.
red. It's a red field with white dots in it. So it's this guy. I don't know. He's tied up with like New York organized crime.
Right,
And
he's one of these dirty, just a dirty person in a position of power that could at one time perhaps prove hard for Grendel to have in the palm of his hand, and so anyone that could oppose Grendel cannot stand.
Yeah, he is. It says he's been made fearless by his protected status in the political arena, and he does dirty deals, outside of Congress, in the open.
Right, his tastes ranged from caviar to lobster, from silken shirts to young Asian prostitutes, Scotch whiskey to Bolivian cocaine.
Yeah, he's sort of embodies a number of like deadly sins.
I was thinking the same. I wrote that too. Yeah,
and
sloth, greed, and
yeah. What did you? I don't not eat lobster, but it's rare. This is a hammer that he's holding, like a little.
Yeah, it's a cracker. Yeah, I would.
It looks so small in his hands.
Yeah.
And so does the entire lobster that he just.
And then it looks like they're bringing him like brontosaurus ribs from the intro, for instance, or something. And the next page, really kind of that top frame, really shows his girth, as he's got 3 different ladies working different parts of his body. And
I thought a lot about how exaggerated his design was.
Right.
Like 427 is a lot of weight, but this is like kind of verges on fat phobic. Like
right. It also reminds me of there was a Grendel backup story. I think it was in Mage that took place way in the future, and there was like a boss who was like a big fat dude like this, who had men and women all over him all the time. It was painted in this beautiful flush color.
That's Devil's. That's a paladin story, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's definitely in the Orion Asante type.
Yeah, that's like Matt's. It's like a 64-page. I think it's backups in Devil's Child. What's the main one with?
That was a Grendel's Tale?
War Child?
Oh, okay. Yeah. That was
the 10 issues.
Right, yeah. It's backups in that?
I think it's a backup. I think it's a backup in that. Yeah. It also reminds me of there's a scene in Frank Miller's Hard Boiled by Jeff Darrow, where there's like a big crime guy getting massaged by like tiny mermaid women. Something like that.
It's the kind of excess. It's kind of the embodiment of excess that this guy shows. Like he has all the power and none of the ability to harness it or to say no ever. So he just continues this until one night a mask appears in the window. Yeah.
Now it says that his mafia protections ran into conflict with the Chacones.
Right, which
so
is
here, and it talks here on the next page about how Grendel is their enforcer. So it's very firmly placed.
Right after
in the timeline.
Andy Can.
I really love the shadow on Sloane's ass of the bandanas, the way it kind of fades into the light, that's really, really wonderful hatching. Yeah. Well done.
And you probably won't get to see the shadow of Grendel's mask on that guy's ass again. So you revel in it.
Yeah, sure.
And so now, I mean, he's completely naked. He was just doing lines and having sex. And so now he is on the run, and Grendel has caused him to take flee as he basically, I think he tramples the women that he's with. Like
it sure looks that way. It says, The image shows a lot more damage to them than the text implies.
And it also says that Grendel paid no attention to the women. So these aren't Grendel killings.
Right. Well, he doesn't have time. Well, he could if he wanted to. He has a soft spot for the exploited. Although, who I thought about when I saw this was Marley Weingard, the thrush, who he took great pleasure in destroying her life. Just as Hunter. Anyway, so they appear to be trampled and dead in the image, but the text talks about broken hands and fractured ribs. So I don't know. Maybe Diana was asleep at the wheel. I don't know.
Well, I mean, but maybe it was like, they just got beat up and they're left unconscious there. They're not necessarily dead. They're just like movies and TV. You get punched in the face and you're out.
In the first panel, he's just like under the one on the right. Like her legs are, all of them. Oh, look at this one up top. He's holding her down he's getting up by holding her down on the face.
My God, yeah.
So I think that Tom Fowler is bringing a lot more savageness to this than the caption implies. So maybe Matt's script said, but really he's going to be doing X, Y, and Z.
Right, and we get a nice fruit basket here at the bottom. By that I mean,
his balls. Yeah, great.
And so he's fleeing, and we kind of get this like the Blob, like nothing can stop the Blob type of action because he seems moving. I mean, he seems agile for his size.
Well, that's the adrenaline.
Yeah, exactly, and
the cocaine.
So he's running, and he just like busts down through his buildings, like the building's front door. He seemingly, for a senator, he doesn't care that he's naked, balls flapping in the winds, and people aren't so much scared as they are kind of like, amused by this giant figure running through. And
well, it happens so fast. It says that he tramples this poodle, and then the janitor, he snaps his neck.
Right, man. The detail on that crushed poodle is insane.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's funny. The treatment of the red, it almost reminds me of like a risograph comic.
Yeah.
In just like it might even look better if it was less registered,
Well, you can also see that he put the dots down, but then also used white to still put some accentuations, like 284, you see there's like a round thing on his belly. 285, there's more dots and stuff too, and he's kind of putting these accent lines kind of in white over top of the dots, which is great attention to detail. You might not even notice that.
There were a few times in the sequence over the next few pages where I have wondered what time of day it's supposed to be.
Right. Because it seems as though it's night, but
it seems like it should be night. Maybe it's dusk or something. Yeah, I mean, whatever. It doesn't. Not
and here he, on the last panel on 285, he pushes this horse out of the way, dislodging the carriage, who then careens into traffic, and the carriage gets smashed by a bus, killing the two old New Yorkers in it.
Jesus Christ.
Like causing just havoc, as if like an elephant is loose in downtown New York or something.
Yeah, except very New York, no taxis stopped.
Right. He was desperately trying to hail a taxi, and no one would stop.
Do you notice that he's also getting redder and redder?
Right. Exactly. Like
that is that how you meant? Like
yeah, exactly. Like around his feet, because he's got the blood of the dog and perhaps some of the thing, and because he's getting more flesh as he's running, causing the damage to, as we see later, as he dashes into the Central Park, where, and I'll read here a little bit, the bizarre appearance elicited less alarm than bemused smiles.
Yeah, another day in New York, baby.
Exactly, just another crazy man. I mean, I'm wondering, do people recognize him as a senator, or because he's so far from his normal that they're just like, that's just a crazy person?
Well, I think the funny thing is that the spectacle of it distracts everyone from the fact that Grendel is sort of lurking in every single panel. In one, either in shadow or crouched or blending into the trees or this and that. It was the crowd here at Central Park that made me sort of wonder what time of day it is, because there's like a family with a kid and there's a runner.
Right. Yeah, you're
There's
right.
rollerbladers and stuff. So anyway, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, there's a
But
lot
then
of people out. So you might be right. Maybe it's like, sundown.
like 6:30, whatever.
6,
Yeah,
7. Yeah, exactly.
dark. It's dark enough.
And man, so 287, he's running. He is so red. He is so hot and bloody, and probably his own weight is bloodying his own feet as well on the rough ground and streets and shit. And so as his heart began to seize, his dreadful sprint had reached its end. And so he just rushes out into the car and gets out into the road, and he gets sandwiched by a pizza delivery vehicle and an empty limousine. Just crushes into him, smashing his bones.
I've always been kind of amused at the damage that the cars take.
Yeah, the cars get wrecked too.
This is it's a very like X-Men Blob
yeah, exactly.
kind of thing where it's like they're the ones that take all the damage.
And
yeah,
go ahead.
you can see his eyeball popping out.
Yeah, oh my God, that was one of the notes I made. Jesus. Yeah. Grendel tightens his grip on crime in the city through this. Yeah. Yeah, his eye pops out. One of his eyes was dislodged from its socket, and 14 teeth were shattered. So this guy didn't even die, though. He didn't die. So I wonder if Grendel finishes him off. Oh, he did die. Sorry, he did die.
In a tragically bizarre accident.
Yeah.
I don't think Grendel appears in the car crash panel.
Right.
But his bandana ties are in that last splash.
Yeah, he kind of was like just out of frame, probably watching this from behind. You can't see him because he's probably behind him because he was right before he was in the alleyway right behind him.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
In the end, no trace of Sloane's criminal connections were found. I think your note about Hunter using this hit to make a larger statement about his ambitions and power in the city and
right,
country.
and don't rival his what used to be the Ciccone family and is now the Grendel family or whatever they refer to.
This guy who wormed his way into Congress in the end ain't shit.
No, even someone at that level who has no fears at all is not outside of the grip of Grendel's, of him taking over everything.
Yeah, I like this one. I think it's here's another one where you could do I would love to see a conversation between Sloane Etheridge and his mafia connections or whatever, talking about bumping up against the Chiccones. Just like there's
another story that could be done. Yeah.
Yeah, there's always opportunity. Very cool. That's 2 down.
It's 2 down. And this last one is super different. There's no narrative. Each page seemingly commenting on a different point. Is that how you felt as well?
I think this one's interesting because it's all haiku.
It's all haiku.
And it's who's the artist? Andi Watson?
Andi Watson, yes.
I feel like we had heard Matt say that this one was inspired by the drawing of Grendel on a horse.
Right, and that is the last frame in this one as well.
And Matt said, all right, whatever it is, we gotta this style, this moment, this vibe works for me. So we'll reverse engineer something for you.
So this drawing happened elsewhere or something? It started.
Yeah, I think it was like a convention sketch. Maybe not this drawing, but this.
Oh, that's
he
right.
He drew him on a horse.
That's right.
And that was like, I can do something with that.
Would you care to go back to back reading these haiku, and then we'll talk about them a little bit? And then we've each prepared our own haiku to present at the end.
Sure. I think the one thing that I want to front load about this one before we get there is that it's drawn. It's drawn perhaps metaphorically in like a Japanese feudal setting.
Right.
And so that, I think it leans heavily into the metaphor, using the haiku and like the cultural iconography. I don't know a lot about Japanese history at all, but to me, this sort of setting in my mind seems to occur into the early 20th century.
I would agree.
But I'm not sure. It's like you see samurai stuff, and it's like, well, it could take place in the 15th century or in late Victorian times. and I just don't have the the knowledge.
I think it's even continued to this day in the kind of traditional,
right.
tea ceremony or some different events like that.
Cool.
Very cool. I dug it. You want to go to the first one?
Sure. So it's Devil's Karma, lettering by our friend Woodrow Phoenix.
Oh, let me just throw down a few things about Andi Watson's career.
Oh, please.
A little bit. Sorry. I was reading a little bit. One thing that really caught my eye is the first work called Samurai Jam, which was like an indie mini comic or zine that kind of had a fusion of like, it basically said like Akira and Love and Rockets feel, which is very interesting.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'm in. And they did. I don't know. Is it a man or a woman? I didn't even get that. You know what? I think it is actually a man. I did see photos of him. Sorry about that. And they did. He did Skeleton Key for Oni with Woodrow Phoenix, which is most likely where they developed the font together. That it said Woodrow Phoenix developed this font. Let's see what that name is, because it had a particular name, which I think is pretty interesting. It's the Wooderscaps font designed by Woodrow Phoenix. Wooderscaps. Interesting.
All right.
Yeah. And also went on to do Hellboy, X-Men. There's a book called Glister, Gum Girl. So yeah, another prolific. Yeah.
The first one sounds awesome.
I know. I'm gonna definitely try to get that. I actually think it was reprinted by by somebody, one of those cool indie publishers from back in the day. But I'll get back to you on that. I'm gonna look for some.
Cool. All right. Devil's Karma. I've got a very sleek and androgynous looking Grendel with red eyes behind a sun. Title, the first haiku is Phoenix Flight. Blazing firmament, face the challenge of his will and tremble, yes, quake.
Kind of just setting up our main character, Grendel, as a force to be reckoned with. Anything else you glean?
Yeah, I wish I could. I don't know what firmament means. It means like foundation.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like that's what's in his soul. This relentless fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also got it. There's no. It's very title pagey. There's not.
Yeah.
It's very simple composition. One thing that I will notice is that there's some stuff is kind of out of sequence. Like this next one is about Stacy, but then there's one later on about Jocasta.
That's right, yeah.
So I found that to be sort of interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of bouncing around, telling different things.
Yeah.
The next one, I love it, man. It's as you said, very Asian inspired. The shadows on Hunter's face, super cool. Mm-hmm. It's called Haunted Tangle. Distant hearts and minds contemplate beauty and death, their fates bound by both. Really, really great, especially how much I like Stacy and how much we know about their relationship, bound by both beauty and death, each one somewhat using beauty and death to manipulate the other throughout their entire relationship.
Yeah, I thought this haiku was really clear and evocative. And what I'm seeing now is that the tea stuff is set up on a cubist table. That's the top of a table that's been
interesting.
Tilted. I thought it was like a word balloon or like what's wrong, but it's just a table.
Interesting.
I thought that was cool.
That's cool. Yeah, man. I like this kind of storytelling method.
Yeah. The third one is just about like who Grendel cuts down, not caring. It's called Shadow Shark. None stand in his wake, the rubble of ruined lives, scattered bloody chaff. If you get on the wrong end of the fork, you are trash to be discarded.
It's cutting right through one of those paper dividers and just, I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
Oh, so they were standing up and he stabbed him at the top and then it went down.
It looks like the weight of him dragged the fork down the.
Yeah, and he's like, damn.
Yeah.
Really cool detail over here on the table with like the tea ceremony stuff and the dragon on the vase and stuff.
Yeah, and the shadow being cast on the floor of the hand and the red framing the mask and all that. Looks really cool.
Yeah, great stuff. This next one is interesting and something we kind of haven't seen yet. Lord of Beasts. His ranks comprise a muscled collective of fear. Oh, murderous clan. So this is kind of showing that that there was a time that Hunter Rose took over one of these gangs, killed a leader, and then became the leader of this almost Yakuza-esque clan here.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I think that the Yakuza trappings are meant to be metaphorical for
True.
mafia capos, I would
Right.
guess.
So this could be Ciccone.
Yeah, but it's like you said, we've seen Devil's Vagary where they sit around a boardroom and they talk about different holdings and rackets and all that. But we've seen, here and there, especially in Volume 1, where he's got like underlings who he deals with directly.
Right.
But we've never seen him like in a warehouse giving like a coach's pep talk to the soldiers, which
right.
I think another, wonderful
Absolutely.
story
It
opportunity.
had to happen.
You could do issues worth of just like, what's it like to be one of these guys? You love that Ninja Turtles movie. It must be like that, the Foot Clan kind of teenage Foot Clan shit. That'd be awesome.
Well, also because, you're in the boardroom and there's all those leaders who all report to Grendel. And all those leaders have, their lieutenants and have their foot soldiers. So each one of them have a small army that now Grendel controls. So was he able to like pick and choose the highest, like, and have his like Grendel elite guard,
I kind of feel like that's an interesting question. I kind of feel like the Devil's Vagary boardroom guys are actually guys from, they're not really mafia guys. They're guys that Larry kind of handpicked they were already doing shady stuff. And Larry's like, well, you can come on in. This is a much better deal,
The Grendel Clan board of trustees.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's all, well, Behold the Devil deals with this a lot, right? His dealings with the Korean mob.
Yeah.
So we'll get there. But I would love to see more, like Italian mafia stuff.
Agreed.
Down the road. That would be so cool. This next one is him and Jocasta. The haiku is wonderful. I think the sequencing here is interesting because when I read this whole piece, it's sort of, because it's translated through the lens of like Japanese classicism or whatever.
Imagery.
It's almost like this is a cultural reinterpretation of this
it does seem
legend.
Like such.
It's almost like when Spider-Man gets a Gekiga manga adaptation in the late 70s or whatever, or Bat manga, or it's this is what it is, but it's a little different. Now it's Japanese. So.
Also, I think that it's interesting to show the symbolism behind them here on this panel. The scratchings are all these supernatural-esque creatures. Again, that helps me in my case, showing that the Jocasta situation is somewhat extraterrestrial, magical.
Yeah. And it's funny because the same imagery appeared, is it last week with Jill Thompson, where she like appears out of a spider's web and the devil laughs, and then she dies and the devil laughs even harder, and it's like, oh my god. The image here of when their waists come together as a single form.
Oh yeah, it's very interesting.
It's kind of cool. All right, this haiku is called Hell Blossom. In love's tragic wake, gestates a horrible grief as demons rejoice.
Those are the demons in the background.
Yeah. The word wake here used for the second time, which I thought was interesting. Actually, not for the second. It's probably been used. I think it's used also in the one in the the last one of Red, White, and Black. I think it was.
I also think that this wake, like, is it in the wake of this tragic love, like following behind, or is love's tragic wake, like he has awoken anew after this tragic love?
There is a inherent sadness, I think, to a lot of eroticism, and especially in their story. Like, it's like the tragedy, it's almost bipolar with comedy and tragedy, with how much joy they experienced, though it's like deeply inappropriate, and how much it built him up and then destroyed him So that
How
we can
long did
change
they
this
have?
person.
Like a week together?
Oh no, I think it's like supposed to be like 18
Like
months.
oh, really? Really?
He's 14 when they meet, and then I think it says he's 16 when he goes back to New York to like
Wow.
become the assassin.
There's
And I just-
another amazing stories to be told in
So
all
many.
that time. Like
Yeah,
anything
so
of
many.
him and Jocasta, like, did they always train? Did she train him to be a killer? Did they go to the movies and go out to eat? Go to
Did he
museums?
go to her medical appointments with her?
Right.
Like posed as her son?
Was he there when her like terminal illness was diagnosed?
Yeah. You know, I don't think that she trained him to be a killer. I think she trained him to be a figurative killer.
Mm.
Like to be a champion.
And
Not
it was
to
her.
be-
It was her
not to
death
be a
that
criminal.
pushed him. But it was her death that pushed him kind of like over the edge to become.
Fuck this world.
Yeah, fuck
You
the
know,
world. Another
I guess
ICP
so.
drop. Why?
I guess so.
I have seen
cool.
ICP live. Have I told you about that? Tanisha loves them, and we went to a small club, and it was insane.
Potatoes, baby.
Dude, we were completely soaked to the bone in Fago.
Yeah.
So much so that we couldn't get a lift home, that we had to walk. We walked home.
When was
Luckily, it was in downtown LA. It was at this smaller theater that I had also seen like a Zappa movie, and we saw Tim Heidecker. You know, it was like this weird theater. It was like a weird place to get soaked in Fago.
when was the show?
About 2 years ago, maybe.
All right.
Yeah. Super fun.
I feel like the more people think about and learn about ICP, the more intriguing and artistic.
Yeah.
it
My mom was like,
becomes.
aren't they a hate group? Aren't they a
Yeah.
cult or something? I was like, no, Mom, no.
Yes.
All right, next page. Season of Death. Unnoticed by frog. Whistling reed or dragonfly. The harvest of sin.
I had a tough time with this one.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I mean, it's kind of just like commenting on the fact that Grendel kills. Like, there's nothing to show who this is, for what reason. I guess it just shows that he's so stealth and precise that he can kill a man, and even the frog, the whistling reed, or the dragonfly pay no heed. He's just
harvesting what Jocasta hath sown.
right.
I almost thought that this figure in the lake was Jocasta for a moment, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But perhaps it's his first kill or something. One of his first.
Yeah, the assassin. It's the assassin days. It's the rise to power, or
Right.
that he is personified in the crane.
Yeah, simply like because the crane is a symbol also of smoothness and of whatever
Stealth. Yeah,
stealth and that. So yeah.
And then we're back
less to
to,
glean right out of that one.
Yeah. Then we're back to kind of the classic Grendel narrative. This is the ongoing cycle of fights with he and Argent.
Yeah.
The design here is great. The Argent toes are wonderful. I can't get enough of them.
I was wondering what you're gonna say, man.
The toes look really great.
Yeah.
It's this one's
Dig
called
it.
Battle Moon. Wax and wane and wax their endless flailing fury, criminal and beast. It's very Batman Joker cycle.
Right.
You know, it just like keeps going on. And
The
there's
dragon that eats its own tail. The constant.
and again, like there is a 6-issue series of just their shit together. You know, that
Absolutely.
just details like the not only the battles but the psychological warfare, and then the social triangle with Stacy. Like there's all kinds of stuff.
You know, man, I think about what would we have experienced, and what stories would have been told if that original Kamiko run went 10 issues. You know, like
I just don't think it was meant to be.
Yeah.
You know, it like, you know, when people ask Matt, like that question is like, well, the guy died. Why did he have to die? Because, you know, characters never die. I wanted to do something different. You know, it's
Man,
different.
I love that about
Yeah.
Matt's outlook too.
And when he revisits it, it's totally retooled, like
Yeah.
from story to format. Like the story that he told is it's a 48-page thing. He did 90 pages or 100 pages, and it covers the first 4 of Devil by the Deed.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, one thing I really like, notice the lines on the fork, how the tangent lines with the bottom of his arm are formed.
Oh, yes.
Very, very smooth and classy. I like it.
Yeah, dig it.
This is the last one. The
Mhm.
noble Grendel riding off on the horse into the sunset.
Right, the piece that launched this entire thing.
Yeah, or
Crimson
he's on
Tide.
the beach. Yeah,
Right,
Crimson Tide, not the movie where they argue about Silver Surfer.
right, which is a great scene. Even his passing shall someday darken the skies, cause the sun to fall. Cause the fucking paladin, dude. Is that what they're
Yeah,
talking
dude.
about? You think it's that far?
I think it's totally prophetic.
God, it's
This
amazing.
is a wonderful, wonderful place to be like, Matt had already told this whole thousands years saga,
Mm-hmm.
and now he can sort of go back and bake those themes and
Bake it in.
motifs and ideas back into the very beginning.
So great.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And again, just shows how different these stories can be told and how through less words, more words, you can still convey these deep thoughts and get us thinking. Honestly, I think way more about these stories by chatting with you than I would have ever thought on my own.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. This is my second full reread, and I remember getting this omnibus and sort of having not read most of these stories and kind of trying to hurry up to get to where I wanted to be or whatever. But
hurry to the next story here.
Yeah, but being forced to kind of slow down and see what we can glean from each one and how they fit into the bigger picture is really interesting.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, man.
Really, really cool. All right, so let's have our haiku off. Let's see what we got.
Oh God.
You want to go first?
Sure. This is not good.
All right.
It's not. I didn't. Our haiku off. It's in notes, which is here. Here's the haiku. It doesn't have a title.
Oh.
The title is Behold the Devil. Behold the, what's our podcast name? The Devil in Detail.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's called The Devil in Detail. Such a good comic, richer with every read through. Vivat Grendel, yo. That's it.
We went different.
Yeah.
We went differently for sure.
Good.
Mine is called Penance of Youth. A babe rests in secret. Criminal minds work next door, while children take note. Stacy.
Yeah, I like it.
My girl.
Yeah, there's so much, we always say, we said it 5 times in the last hour. There's so much more to tell.
So much.
And listen, everything's crazy right now with comics, and so it's kind of foolish to speculate what the future will hold. I would love to see Matt do more Grendel. I would love to see Matt do more different creator-owned stuff. But at this point, the fact that he and Brennan are on this Grendel book, Mage is done, whatever else, it's all gravy after that. He can do anything.
He did say he's got new Grendel coming.
Yeah,
Now he's got another tale.
I'd love to see that. Love to see a new IP. I'd love to see more Batman. Whatever. It really doesn't matter. It's like the big milestones that I've always wanted to see have been hit. So, all's the better.
Yeah, awesome. Now, next week, we have 3 big stories coming up, and we might as well just say our first story is called Devil Colors, art by Jim Mahfood, who is our special guest for next week.
Super cool.
Shout out to Jim. I'm psyched. He's going to be reading along with us, and he's going to be telling us a little bit about, meeting and hanging out with Matt, and then he's going to dissect these next 2 stories, which is Devil Dreams, art by Kelly Jones. So awesome. Beautiful. work by Kelly. And then Devil Crossed, pencils by Phil Hester, inks by Andy Parks.
Yeah, I can't wait to kind of get inside of Jim's head and read comics through his perspective and see the things that he's looking for to turn him on in terms of storytelling and craft.
Yeah.
And also his perspective on this saga from a macro level. So that I can't wait. Should be super cool.
Super psyched about that. Anything else? Anything else you want to say, Ben, about these great stories this week?
Oh, I've got a list somewhere. No, these are great. It's funny, we go in saying that this will be a shorter episode. It's still 75 minutes long.
Yeah.
So
we can't.
There's
We
always
get so
something to
psyched.
say.
There's so much story, and there's so much. Like the story is so fresh in our heads now that it's like binging a show. You know, you get more from it because all of the references are so, you know, they're right there on the top. I think we're not missing much.
Well, we always say like, oh, once we get into such and such part of the cycle, the episodes will par down to 45 minutes. I don't think that's going to be the case.
I don't either. I don't either.
So,
And if we were going issue by issue for Red, White, and Black, there's 4 stories. I mean, we can almost never cover 4 stories. We did last week, but
yeah. Well, I think that once we get into Behold, and then Christine, you know, it will really, like, you gotta cover the issue, but you also won't have to front load and introduce things 3 times per episode.
exactly, yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah, man.
Awesome, dude. Well, until next week, keep on
Vivat Grendel.
and Vivat Grendel.